Hello, everyone, and welcome to What's My House Worth, the premier, if not controversial, show about Needham real estate. My name is Rob Tickton. This is Ryan McDonald. We are realtors with Hawthorne Properties, and we thank you for joining us. Before we jump into real estate, Ryan, still basking in the glow a little bit of this Patriots Super Bowl victory, and we had an interesting conversation on the way here. Why don't you share?
Yeah, I mean, just the interesting part is Rob and I are both transplanted New Englanders.
That's correct.
And neither one of us are, you should say we're not New England Patriots fans at heart.
True.
Yeah, I'm a full-blooded member of Raider Nation.
And I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan.
But we found ourselves last night, we couldn't believe how much we wanted the Patriots to win and how you felt when they did actually pull that out. And we can only imagine what it's like for, you know, the real deal local fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Holy smokes.
It was quite a thrilling event that I'm sure will be lasting a very long time.
At least through into March.
Boston sports, so hopefully.
While you're watching this.
Into March. But without any further ado, I think it's time to get to the task at hand, Ryan, and that is, of course, going over to the Needham real estate sales. This month's show, we're going to be talking about the month of January. Normally not the hottest month of the year, but hopefully enough sales to get us through 30 minutes, Ryan. So let's take a look at that sales data, and as you stare at that, what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I see 17 sales, Rob, and I see, not to be glossed over, a very, a really good average sales price of $1.2 million. That's about as high as it gets as far as we're concerned. However, when you start digging into it, though, I mean, the 93% of original list, we've been hovering at that number for a couple months now. It's not a great number. It doesn't speak to things being priced well and flying off the shelves. Neither does, the $338 per square foot. That's down. A year ago, it was $373 in the month of January. Even last month, it was $366. So that number's not great. And the 112 days on market, I mean, you could say that it speaks to the time of year, but you look at December of 2016, we were at 66 days. January of 2016, we're at 51 days. So those numbers, other than the average sales price, aren't super great. I think that they're not necessarily alarm bells, but, when we're looking at it analytically, those aren't great numbers.
Right. 12 of the 17 sales, Ryan, went for over $1 million. That's what's driving up that number. And, I will say the percentage of list, that's not to be confused. It's not necessarily an indicator of a weakening market or a weak market or a soft market. It could very well, and I think in this case probably is, the result of just overpricing your house, maybe unrealistic expectations of sellers in Needham after what they've seen for the past few years. They're kind of shooting for the moon, and even though they're falling short of their original price, they're still doing pretty well with the sales of their homes. Right. So just, something to think about is maybe we can temper the excitement a little bit because we're still in a really good market.
Yeah, and especially as we're entering into the heaviest months of volume that we're going to see in a year.
Right.
Your chance to get out of the gates and price well, you only get one shot at it. And if you want to get at or above 97% of your original list, it's all about your initial price.
Right. You cannot underprice a house. We can't say that enough. Trailing 6 months. That's true. Take a look at the past 6, and no surprises here. Almost a mirror image of a year ago.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, this is our Chaise Lounge portion of the year. That's what the graph always looks like.
Yep.
I think it's pretty straightforward, and we could probably just tuck that graph away for next year, and we'll roll it right back out next January.
Talking about straightforward, as we look at the month of January and how this month is compared to years past, you can't get much more consistent than what it's been over the past 3 years. 17 seems to be kind of right in the spot. But I guess my bigger question here, Ryan, is what on earth did we talk about for 30 minutes in January of 2012?
I don't know, but there was a lot of filler.
Yeah.
A lot of filler.
A lot indeed. Okay, let's jump in. Let's go to the individual sales. We're going to start with the low sales price and work our way up. The first one on the docket is 114 Webster Street, and this one sells for $565. Ryan, 2 beds, smaller house for sure.
Yep, and I mean the 2 things I liked about this, one was the quick reaction trigger pull price drop.
Yep.
So it quickly goes from $625 to $599. That was a better number, and that helped move it along as far as the sale goes. The other thing I liked about it, Rob, it's on the corner of Evelyn.
Yep.
And the builder, whoever built it back in the probably in the 40s or 50s, had the foresight to put the garage on Evelyn. So you're not pulling out onto Webster, so that you can't underestimate how nice that is when you're on a busier road, but you have a garage facing an interior street.
Evelyn, of course, north of Highland Ave. The 2-bedroom did jump out at me a little bit, Ryan, so I have a question for you. A little trivia.
Okay, I got plenty of sleep last night,
as
Rob.
you wet
really
your whistle.
Ready.
Over the last 12 months, how many 2-bedroom homes have sold in Needham?
8.
The answer is 10. That's pretty good. I thought you were going to go lower. So well done.
Thanks.
Next up, we're going to head over to Aletha Street.
Yes, we will.
For the second of 5 sales that are under $1 million. This one is on 72 Wilshire Park, also known as the longest ladder street, Ryan.
Yeah.
The longest ladder street.
Okay.
This one, no surprise that it was only in the market for 7 days. I think you and I, when we went through it, kind of figured this thing was going to move quickly because it was priced appropriately.
Right.
And sure enough, this is a good example of what we had said about not being able to underprice a house, because this is what happens when you do.
Yeah, exactly. And as you mentioned, my number one note as I reviewed it before the show was well priced, and it was basically taking this house and putting it out there for the things about it that make it valuable, which are the location. Wilshire Park's a very nice street, it's a colonial. There's a lot of upside to it, but the seller wasn't trying to grab that upside for themselves in a high list price. They were saying, all right, market, I know I have a nice house and a nice asset on a great street, and I'm going to price it competitively to let you guys figure out what the end of sale price will be, and it really worked out for the seller.
Of the 1,642 square feet, 264 of that in the lower level. I like the use of lower level instead of basement.
I know, very subtle but effective. Nice deck too.
Yeah.
On that house.
Next listing, much different, although it is next up. It's 185 Brookside Road, and this one, Ryan, I got to tell you, it was candidate for deal of the month for the buyer for me, just because it's a nice piece of land, over an acre for $700,000. Walk to Volante.
Volante.
You see that a lot in listings for around Volante Farms.
Well, I mean, yeah, but what are you going to say?
I know, but
walk to other neighborhoods.
You do see it a lot, but no, it's more just about it's a big piece of land. I mean, it's tough to get over an acre for $700,000.
It's an irregularly shaped over an acre lot, though.
True, but not terribly irregularly shaped, right?
Yeah, apparently. I mean, $700,000. This is basically a land sale at that price. Would you agree?
I would.
I mean, it's a house that is 1,600 square feet. It's dated. I mean, it's always something that somebody could take and move into, but it's priced, and it was sort of put out there as a land sale. Mm-hmm. Like the first indicator is the lead picture was a map of the land.
Yeah, right.
So that's a
right.
That's an obvious one for us. So
that's a good clue.
Yeah, so I think for getting an acre for $700,000, like as you said, it's a good deal for the buyer. Not a lot of land sales over there, so depending on what's going to go on there, it might be kind of paving the way on that side of town.
So perhaps a good deal for the buyer. It looked like that to me, and I would say that the next listing also looks like a good deal for the buyer. Mm-hmm. And this one is as we like to say, a sneaky walk to town location.
For sure.
It's located 48 Oak Knoll Terrace, and $795. It came on. To me, I probably would have listed it right around there too. I was kind of surprised this thing came down to $728. I think it's a good deal for the buyer.
Yeah, big lot.
Big lot, right?
This is a street that a lot of people are maybe not aware of, because you're never on it unless you're going to someone's house on Oak Knoll Terrace. It's sort of a twig off of the trunk of Great Plain Ave.
Well said.
On just as you're heading towards Wellesley on Great Plain, past town. But and it's a dead end street, so there isn't anything. There's no destination other than a residence on Oak Knoll Terrace,
which is another positive.
It is a positive. The only downside to it is it is a dead end, so it's not a cul-de-sac. So it's difficult to turn around on Oak Knoll without going in someone's driveway. But I'm sure you'll be able to work that out if you live there. But it is over 2,000 square feet for under $800,000.
Yeah, 4 beds, 2 baths.
And on a very nice size lot. So a lot to like about, and it's a nice little street. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there's some nice homes on it, and as you mentioned, it's walk to town. So this one, yeah, you're right. This is a good buy for this buyer.
Good buy for the buyer, maybe not so much the case, or at least a good sell for the seller on the next one, because Ryan, as we look at the next listing sheet, we see a little bit of red writing.
Yeah, we're starting with the Red Riding Hood. When I walked out of there, right or wrong, my interpretation was that this house, I believed it to be $100,000 overpriced, and I was wrong. It was $55,000 overpriced, and so it sold for $55,000 under asking. So that isn't necessarily fair to say that it was overpriced, but I felt that it was if I were to recommend that seller, I might have suggested they list at a lower price point. Turns out it was only on the market for 16 days.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the seller got away with one here, because I felt like there was a lot to do in the house, and it has a lot of upside, which I think to the seller's credit, they got paid for it. But the upside, the number one thing is, like, it had a perfect opportunity for a side entrance into a mudroom right off the kitchen, which that buyer can definitely do. The space is there for it. It would really enhance the value of the house. I think.
So it's a canvas.
Yeah,
in many ways.
It's a great easy upgrade that they can make. So it's a nice house on a nice street. I just felt at the time I thought it was out a little high, and seller got a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, you say the seller got away with one. Let me get away with one every time when I'm listing my house, right? That's a good sign. That means the seller got a great deal there. Okay, I think that's it too for our homes under $1 million, Ryan. It is.
That was quick. Should we go to commercial?
Yeah, if that was an option, this would be the perfect time.
Don't you just hold up your cup?
No, I'm not allowed. So, all right, let's pretend we're back from commercial, and let's take a look at our next listing, which, of course, is over $1 million. It's a pretty big jump here. 140 Grant Street, and Ryan, this was the first, actually, of two flips that we're going to go over, which happened to be back-to-back. 140 Grant was, everything was brand new. I mean, it was more or less gutted, and there was nothing to do but literally drop your bags and move right in, as they say.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about this house, there were a lot of rooms, but they were all pretty small, including the bedrooms. Small bedrooms. It was a lot that sold for $617,500 in 2015.
October 2015.
Right. So it was on the market for a little while, and it took a little while to do this renovation. It's we talk about like upside, and there really isn't much with this one because all the work has essentially been done.
Right.
But as we know, there are buyers who are looking to do nothing. And if they want to do nothing and they want to be closer to town and their budget's 105, that's the house for them. Yeah,
I mean you are getting a turnkey operation.
Yeah, which
at $1 million, just over $1 million, which is those opportunities are few and far between in Needham. I'd like to just touch for a second, though, on the all caps nature of the listing.
Yeah.
I find it very difficult to read.
Yeah. It's like they're screaming at you?
Even the firm remarks, like the little side notes were in all caps.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, you tell me, viewers, I don't know, it strikes me as harder to concentrate. It's almost too busy.
What? To me, it feels like the listing agent's screaming to me.
It's screaming.
Or at me.
At me.
Right.
Right.
All right, good observation.
Yeah, but all in all, I mean, $1 million turnkey,
yeah,
it's not bad. I like it.
As some might say, Ryan, condition. 16 Aletha Road is the next listing. This was also a flip. Sells for $765,000 to the developer. Work is done, obviously, and it sells for $117,000. Good location, Ryan.
Right, and just to illustrate, you mentioned the date of the purchase of Grant. This one was closed in April of 2016, so a much quicker turnaround from a developer standpoint.
Right.
And just for fun, do you know what the assessed value of the home was at the time of sale in April of 2016?
Oh, this is fun. I'll say $640,000.
Oh, how about $764,900?
Wow.
So that's one where the assessors got it right.
Or did they base the price on the assessor's value is the question.
I can't possibly know.
Right, but I mean, it wasn't on the market at $765,000, right? It was an off-market deal.
I don't know what to say.
Okay.
Trying to give the assessors a pat on the back, Rob, and what do you do?
No, I'm saying good for the
just rub their noses in it.
Good for the assessors. I'm saying they had an impact on what this thing sold for. Maybe.
Okay.
That's all. Nothing but love for the assessors.
Can we go to commercial break again?
No, it's too late. We're still in B block. Okay, you want to jump up to the next listing?
I guess.
All right, you can take a little break because this one's going to be all me. 40 Canavant Circle is my deal of the month, Ryan, for the seller. Correct. This, of course, located in Olin Woods, and you look at this thing on paper, and I have a hard time even convincing myself that it should be the deal of the month for the seller. But in terms of the square footage of the house, it's almost 5,000 square feet. It's a really big lot, 31,000 square feet. You got the 6 beds, you got the 4.5 baths. I mean, on paper, this thing is worth $1,225 all day.
Agreed.
Okay, so the reason it's my deal of the month for the seller is what you see on paper isn't always the same thing that you see when you walk inside of a house. And I think when you and I both walked through this house on the broker tour back when it first went on the market, we both kind of got the sense that the house really was tired and could have used a lot of sprucing up. And what I think when I see a house like this is, you could pour $250,000 into this house pretty easily and make it pretty nice, Ryan. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that makes it anywhere near a $1.45, $1.5 million house. So I just, sometimes it's gut feeling, but I just really felt like based on the condition of the inside of this house and outside, I just didn't really think it was worth $1,225, but who am I to say? That's what it sold for.
Well, I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and when we walked out of the house, I had the same feeling. And to to the listing agent and the seller's credit, they had a $140,000 price drop in a week.
Yeah.
So they reacted
perfectly.
Well, very well, yeah. And they still limited the days on market to 46 days. So that, all in all, I think they responded to the market. But it does illustrate what we were saying earlier about your initial chance to price it is your best chance. And you can react, and I hope you do, but better off to go out on the right foot rather than having to react.
True, but I guess the lesson learned here, maybe there is a little caveat that you can't overprice your house, but if you do, you better fix it quick.
Right. Don't be stubborn about it.
Don't be stubborn, because we know plenty of
And
of
don't
those.
look at a price reduction as someone taking money out of your pocket, because it wasn't your money to begin with. Because the sale price is all that matters. What you have it priced at, and in your head when you're spending that money of your proceeds, then it becomes a totally negative outlook when you have to reduce. Oftentimes, the reduction is the best thing you can do because it stimulates activity and interest in the house.
Well said. Well said, Ryan. Okay, next listing, 44.
You sound so surprised.
Yeah, well, it's, what can I say? I mean, I'm very rarely that impressed, which is, you could argue, is a compliment.
Yeah, a backhanded.
44 Elmwood is the next listing, back on the other side of town. And I want to give a lot of credit here to the listing agent for this listing, because this house looked perfect. I mean, it looked as good as it was going to look. It was staged well. It was clean. There wasn't a lot of stuff in there. It was set up to perform well. I thought the listing price, to be honest with you, was not that far off. So I was surprised this one sold for $100,000 less than list, because I thought everything that could be done right was done right. Obviously, what was hurting this more than anything was the train behind the backyard.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to give the listing agent credit, you really need to give the sellers credit. These people are very, very well organized, very meticulous folks, and they take very good care of their house.
Yep, good point.
So the other thing, Rob, that I think hurts this house was built in 2005, and it's amazing. Just that's 10 plus years ago.
We can call it 12.
We can call it 12, 11 and a half, whatever. It's the emergence of the mudroom in new construction in the last decade is it's just no more, whereas more evident than right here. I mean, this house was very nice. It was well built, good house, great, boom, no mudroom. And it's just that's such a big part of new construction now, and family life and organization and things that people really design around, and it absent here. And it's something that today's buyer walks into. It's like new construction. It's a young house. Checks a lot of the boxes, great neighborhood, does have the train, but that's something that Needham residents deal with, but no mudroom, and that's got to turn some people off.
All right, good. So it's the train and the mudroom, basically, is what you're saying. All right.
More mudroom.
Okay. Next up, first new construction of the day, and it's 52 Thorpe Road. A lot of people have probably seen this one and saw the progress of it based on the fact that it's on the corner of Thorpe and Webster.
Formerly 464 Webster.
Oh, interesting.
Sold by?
Ryan McDonald.
No, close though, our office.
All right.
So this one went in the end of 2015 for $584,000, Rob.
Yeah.
That was the land sale. It's a smaller lot, 8,200 square feet, as you mentioned, on the corner.
And 2 finished levels.
Yep, no finished basement or attic.
Yep.
This, I just want to call out that this is a prime example of a property whose value would be adversely affected by changes to the zoning.
Right, agreed, because it is a smaller lot and it's on a corner.
Smaller lot on a corner was best suited, maybe in the opinion of some, for redevelopment, but the value wouldn't be the same if the lot was restricted.
Good point. So let me ask you a question, Ryan.
Sure.
You have a 1.3 and change budget. You're moving to Needham with your family. You can have Thorpe for 1.31, or you can have 61 Pheasant Landing for 1.32. So we're talking about a $10,000 difference.
Right.
What are you choosing?
I'm personally choosing Thorpe simply on its proximity to town.
Okay, so you're right. So now this, which goes back to, we talked about this before.
Yeah, and I think I could take Thorpe, and if there was anything that I didn't like about it from finishings, or if it didn't have the character or whatever I'm looking for, I can add it. I can't make Pheasant Landing any closer to town.
I know, but that Pheasant Landing, I mean, that's a lot of space. It was a nice house that had a lot going for it too. Big lot, obviously.
It is, but also Pheasant Landing, as I remember, it had a strange first floor layout. It was choppy in that you were constantly going up and down, like a couple of steps down here, up over here. Like there were rooms that were at different at different floor levels, and I don't know. I think that would get old to me.
Okay, and it would be tough to get old in that house.
That's a great point. Yeah. But a unique layout, a unique house. It's the opposite of 52 Thorpe in that standpoint. People could say new construction. It's very, there's a set floor plan that's repeated often. Pheasant Landing doesn't have that. Pheasant Landing has its own floor plan. Like, you're not recreating that.
Yep.
So there's a lot to like in that regard. But if you ask me the question, if I had to spend the money on the two, I would take Thorpe because I could make Thorpe into what I wanted it to be,
and still be close to town, which is important to you. Okay.
Which is important to me.
Got it. 25 Enslin Road is the next listing. This is also new construction. This is also on a smaller lot.
It is.
Similar to Thorpe. It was 8,000 square feet. Walk to Broad Meadow, right?
Yeah.
Nice proximity to the elementary school.
It's in Broad Meadow's backyard.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is helpful because the backyard of Enslin is small and also sloped pretty steeply towards the house. So you don't have a lot of room outside your back door. You have a wall, and then you have your yard going up, and then if you walk 20 yards, you have Broad Meadows baseball field.
Right. So that one sells for 1.4. We're starting to climb here. Look at Jarvis coming in hot here. Yeah. 120 Jarvis Circle.
Coming in late too. Let's be honest. We were done with the slides, and then all of a sudden Jarvis shows up.
Yeah, but better late than never, Ryan.
Yeah.
This one is an impressive home, I thought. Well, it's on a bigger lot, 15,000 square feet, but a lot of cathedral ceiling action going on in this house that I really like. I mean, you don't see it as often as you'd think you would for new construction.
Look how they broke up the front elevation in terms of the garage. It's not as pronounced as a lot of homes. I thought that was creative. I mean, some people may or may not like all the stonework and the stone facade. Some people really like it. So if that appeals to you, this house certainly will.
But there's certainly an effort there.
Exactly. It's not someone just throwing up whatever plan that they've done 6 other times. This is somebody who designed a nice home and followed through on it.
And that's why they got 157 on Jarvis Circle, right?
I mean, 15,000 square foot lot too, which doesn't hurt.
They paid $568,000 for that lot. Oh, by the way,
in March 2015, so not a long. 2015.
Right.
Yeah, so that is kind of a turnaround.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah. Well, it takes a long time to place all those stones.
That's a good point. Yeah. Especially if you're doing it by hand.
Right.
One person. 76 Brookline Street is the next listing. More new construction. I'll tell you what, 6261, Ryan, on 6 beds, 3 baths, on 3 levels. I mean, you finish the basement of this house, you're staring at 8,000 square feet.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot. You know what I don't have in front of me is what's the lot size there?
I don't have that in front of me either.
If we only had somebody that could run and find that out for us.
Let's assume it's around 10,000.
Okay. On Brookline, very convenient to Mitchell, obviously. This one also traded in March of 2015 for $640. So, so I ask you, going back to Enslin, you got $625 on Enslin in July of 15. What did we say Jarvis was?
Jarvis was 560.
Jarvis was in the
568.
568.
We're juggling a lot of things here. Keep going.
And then 640
You're losing me quickly.
on Brookline. I'd say that Jarvis kind of pops out.
Jarvis wins in terms of the margin.
Definitely.
But they might have put the most money into that house. But although this one's a lot of square footage too. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, but you're right, though. That 6,200 square feet is a lot, especially on 3 levels. You're on Brookline. It's a busier street. Your walk to Mitchell, which is always desirable. And it's convenient to getting out of town. Not so much in, but out. Right. Highways and whatnot.
Correct.
So there you have it.
Okay, 157 Bridle Trail Road. This one listed for basically $2 million, sells for 1.6. Again, a lot of these houses are why the percentage of list was what it was.
And in fairness, these are tougher. When you get up into the $2 million range,
it's not easy to price.
It's not easy. There's not an easy, process to price them because of the comps aren't apples to apples in a lot of cases.
Right.
This is in Saddlebrook Estates, which is a long-standing Needham neighborhood. Used to have a sign there, doesn't anymore.
Right.
But it made me start to think: should we start putting signs up?
I'm for it.
I mean,
and me?
Well, we could. Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, it would definitely, because people get a little liberal sometimes with, saying they're in the ladder district or whatever they want to call it. But not if you're not within the signs. Then it would be signs.
Yeah, right. Then it's a little more formal. Yeah. Create boundaries.
And you'd have to start making some calls on Olin Woods though, because you get a little particular about what's in Olin Woods and what isn't.
Well, yeah, listen, we could talk about that, all day. 157 Bridle Trail, I will say, though, one thing about that, it looks like good value to me. And again,
Jack and Jill baths.
We talk about the outskirts having good values, the bridle trails, the pheasant landings, the winding rivers, houses like that, where you can really get a good deal because more people are coming into this town, they want to be closer to town.
And you mentioned high ceilings. This one had the cathedral, really high cathedral ceiling in the family. It was a cool family, a lot of light, tall windows.
Yeah. Okay, let's go big seller, 181 Fair Oaks Park.
Well, you got two more.
Oh, sorry. This is the runner-up, the big seller runner-up. This is 181 Fair Oaks Park.
Island House.
The Island House, although that wasn't on the description.
It was.
No, wasn't it taken off?
I don't believe so.
Oh, well, okay, we'll have to look back at that. But anyway,
It's
the
surrounded by
island.
3 streets.
Right, it's surrounded by Fair Oaks, Dedham Ave, and Harris. And this was, for all intents and purposes, a custom build.
Yep, took forever.
And sells for $175. We never got a chance to see this because it was a custom build.
Never
it was
went on the
bought
market.
before it went. Well, it was on the market.
And not as a finished house.
Correct. 55 Kenny Street, pretty good number here, right?
Yeah, I mean.
This is the big seller, by the way.
It is. Almost 1.9. This is right on the backside of Broadmeadow. Big lot, over 20,000 square feet. A lot of detail. Nice home.
Yeah, it's, we talk about 1899. Our big sellers seem to, with a few exceptions, be pretty big.
Yeah.
And we got some $2 million pluses under agreement now. So I think over the next few months, we're going to see a lot of those high up. And now with the spring market coming,
all bets are off, man.
the sky's the limit for the big seller going forward. Okay.
Let the horses out of the barn.
I know. It's exciting. Listing, not as exciting though as the listing picture of the month. You have not seen the
I
listing.
haven't. I can't wait.
Ryan has not seen the listing picture of the month. So without any further, oh yeah, there we go. I mean, so that's what you call staging.
Right. Well, you want to make a home look lived in, and comfortable.
I mean, yeah, that bed does look warm.
Yeah.
Like somebody just got out of it.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, the photographer's in there, and they know, and they're like, whatever. Listen, if they don't care, I don't care.
I'm getting paid either way.
If they don't care, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's functional at least.
Yeah, that's true. I like that shade of green.
Yeah.
A lot of blankets. Okay, so there you go. That's our.
Yeah, that's not a bad one.
Yeah, that's the most recent champion. Market snapshot, Ryan. Take a look at how things are as we speak, for the most part, and 40 active single-family listings. Thoughts on this?
Well, I think that 40 is going to go up in the weeks ahead. But I think along with that, we're going to have homes going under agreement going up as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the snapshot looks a lot like it did last January, with the exception of the average listing price, although it's not materially different. Mm-hmm. The average list price per square foot at $371. If we're going to maintain that, that $338 that we saw this month is going to have to come up.
Right.
Average days on market, while that's going to increase for some of the homes, I think we're going to start to see the spring market, particularly because we don't have 20 million feet of snow. I think we expect to see the spring market start to bloom.
Oh, I think it's basically started to bloom.
Yeah, well, we didn't have anything on the caravan last week.
I know, but
this week's going to be chock full, so stay tuned.
It's here. I mean,
then we have school vacation, and then it's going to be just
gangbusters.
Yeah, so saddle up, Needham. It's coming.
I think it's going to be a lot of stuff coming on. I think a lot of things are going to sell for big numbers.
People price things responsibly.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a very healthy
I'm excited.
Spring market. I will say of the 38 homes under agreement, 6 of those over 1.9 million, as I'd spoken about previous. So there's some big houses on there. Okay, so Ryan, let's say hypothetically somebody wants to call us or get in touch with us. How would they do that?
That's very simple.
Okay,
you can call us anytime.
Yep.
781-707-6564.
Right. Okay, so that's the phone.
Yeah, you can always email us at rob.ryan@hawthornere.com. And if you haven't already, I suggest you follow us on Twitter at Hawthorne_WMHW. So a lot of fun facts coming out on that. At any given time, you never know what's going to hit you. All of a sudden, boom, right in your feed.
Yeah,
There's something.
Very unpredictable.
Very unpredictable.
Thank you for joining us. Again, congratulations to the Patriots.
Wow.
And we look forward
what
to
a time to be a sports fan in this town.
Again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.